Hello everyone, welcome to First Canada's FTC Sim tutorials. This series is about how to use FTC Sim, a First Tech Challenge robot simulator created by First Canada. Now, it's been a couple of weeks since I've done one of the videos. I had a request for this one. It's a recent addition to FTC Sim, which is using the IMU, which is right there on the robot, to demonstrate how it's done. Now, if you go and check up here under sensors, you'll see the IMU and you'll see some of the things that it can do. And down here, there's some more in there that we would talk about, especially when we're doing our using IMUs on the sensor, on the real robot, I should say, on an FTC robot. But what I wanted to just go through today is a couple of things very quickly. Now, it's not going to show up well in this one. This first one isn't anyways, for a couple of reasons. So the first one is some people will use the IMU to get the robot to go straight. Maybe another robot bumps it and you want it to go in a certain direction and it will reset. So we've put that one's on the screen here. The problem is I can't bump this one, so it's not really going to look the way it should. But very often using IMU is done when you're doing autonomous, which is pretty much what we go through in FTC Sim. The other thing that won't really show is when we set up the initialization of the IMU. So it's done in the initialization part of the coding. So if you're on your phone and you choose an op mode, and you choose an autonomous op mode, and you choose this one, for example, and you put init IMU, and then you press init, it's going to maybe take a second or two to do the init stuff. And the init stuff actually is right over here. So I put that in so you can see, and I'll just leave it here so you can see it, possibly take a screenshot later on to go through it. And I put some remarks in, some comments in to explain what's going on here. So essentially what we're doing is resetting and so forth, and it's going to do some status updates and so forth. And that's why I'm saying if you do it with your real robot, it's going to say init IMU, please wait, and then status IMU initialized when it's completely done. So you'd have to do that. And that, in case you haven't used it, this is a user-defined function that we created down here in the robot function. As you can see, it's right there. It's been created. And what we're doing is then we're calling that function as it's called. We're using that function right up here. So we get to put it in and say, use that one to initialize the sensors on the IMU. So essentially, if we're going to use it as a gyro, we want it when it's set and ready to go to have a value of 0, so it's pointing in that direction, and then we're going to change that. So the code that's here, I'm just going to start it up so you can see. I've tried to demonstrate this, but it's not really going to show too well. But essentially, what I've done is I've started it off, and I tried to start it off so that it was going a little bit off on an angle. And then what I'm doing is I'm getting the value for yaw from the IMU. You can look up what yaw means, but essentially it's the angle that it's moving at. And then what it's going to do is if it's less than 5 degrees, for example, it's going to change the power so that it makes it go a little straighter. And if it's greater than 5 degrees, it's going to turn a little bit to the other direction so that it'll go straighter. But it's kind of hard to see, and it really doesn't work super well in a demo like this. It would have to be, it's easier to do on a real robot where you can give it a shove and so forth and see how it corrects itself. But that's one of the uses that people do for the IMU. So I'm going to disable that. So it's not going to go because I have this other one set up that I want to do. So I still need to use this function that I've created to initialize the IMU. And this one, I just wanted to demonstrate the fact that when I use it, and again, we're using yaw because, I mean, you can do other things with acceleration, but we're just going to keep it simple for today. And the telemetry is going to show us up here what the value is of that as it's changing. So what I'm essentially saying is I want to make it turn, because one of the ways people use IMU is to make it turn on a specific angle. So it's a very distinct angle, very deep, very sensitive, and exactly what we want. So I'm saying if the yaw is less than 45, and I'm saying it's 45 degrees, then change the value of the motor to keep it turning, so that when it gets to about 45, then we're going to stop it. Okay, so that's what's going to happen here. So we'll just try it and see. And you can see up here that it stops at 45.26. So you can fiddle with that, as I'm going to do right now. So let's say we want it to go to close to 180. So I'm going to put that 179. So we want it to go from where it's facing to turn 180 degrees. And that's what we're doing. So you can put decimals in if you want to that to get it even closer, but that's an example. Now, if I wanted it to turn the other direction, I could do a couple things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to greater than, and I'm going to put in negative 45, and you can see that value come up in the window there. And because I wanted to change direction, I'm going to put down negative 0.3 here, so that it turns the motor in that direction, and 0.3 down there, which is reversing what I had previously. So when I click go, it does that same thing. So it's turning that direction. So you can fiddle with those numbers and get it to do what you want. So at this point, I might want to then, after I've turned it exactly where I want to turn it, I might want to make it go a little bit, and then maybe I want to turn it back so that it goes straight again, or maybe I want to zigzag across the screen. And what I would suggest is to try that out and see how that works. 'Cause I think you'll find that it can be very useful on your real robot. Now, if you do try it out and you do come up with some neat things, I would love to see them. So you could email the code to me at pkeenan@firstinspires.org. I would love to see what you come up with. So once again, I hope you're enjoying FTC Sim. We sure enjoy sharing it in Canada, then the United States, and now throughout the world. If you do have any questions, please contact us. We'd love to hear from you. And, by the way, depending on when you view this, I'm doing this in mid-August of 2021. We've just released a place, the arena where you can go to compete with your friends. You get a different puzzle every couple of weeks, a different maze. You go through the maze, and then that night, at midnight in British Columbia, all of the submissions are run, and a daily scoreboard is posted, and that goes on for a couple of weeks before a new one goes up. And very shortly, we're going to be moving away from pixelpad.io to our own server, which will, for a few reasons, that you'll see coming in September, and also coming in September, hopefully for around the time of release of the new FTC Challenge game, we will be doing some on-bot Java. So not only will you be able to code your robot in blocks, but you can also learn and practice in on-bot. So I hope to see you back. I hope to hear any comments that you have. Again, my email is pkeenan@firstinspires.org. So please contact us and enjoy FTC Sim.